Hello everyone, this is Fawad. Welcome to Future on Cloud. In our today's video, I am going to configure disaster recovery site for our on-prem virtual infrastructure, which is running on VMware. So this is a playlist which we have covered in our previous videos. So in our today's video, I am going to cover disaster recovery VMware environment to Azure. Then at the end, we will go through a demo. The demo, I will fail over my virtual machine from on-prem to Azure, then Azure to on-prem. So this is Azure Site Recovery, which Microsoft Azure is providing. This is a tool through which we can protect our on-prem environment and create a disaster recovery site on Microsoft Azure. So what it will do is it will protect your virtual machines, whatever you configured as a DR, as a protected VM. The replica will be created on Microsoft Azure site. So there are some prerequisites which we need to keep in mind in order to configure our disaster recovery. First of all, we need to prepare our on-prem environment with recovery appliance. Then we will that set up that recovery appliance and then perform a failover and failback. There are few things which need to consider before configuring your protected VM. First of all, the secure boot should be disabled, and whenever you are going to configure your recovery side, the VNet should be there for testing and prod environment. The storage account should be there, and the network security group should be configured in order to access your virtual machines. And optionally, the public IP if you are not using session host. And the last point I will explain to you at the end when we reprotect our virtual machine. So without wasting time, let's jump into our test environment. So this is my Azure environment. So first of all, we need to create a recovery service vault. If it is acting here, that's fine. Otherwise, you can search recovery service vault. Let's create new one. This is my subscription. I'll leave it as it is. This is my resource group, which I have already created. If it's not there, you can create new one. The name of the vault, VMware to Azure, you can name anything. And the networking, that's fine. Leave it with the default pH. So the deployment is initiated. It will take around 30 seconds, I believe. The recovery vault is started now. So once it is finished, through this recovery vault, you can download the OVA file and then configure it on your on-prem environment. So this process will take around, the complete end-to-end process will take around 3 to 4 hours. So I will make multiple pause during the video just to make the video shorter. So I'm going to pause it now. So once it is done, I'll resume it back. So the recovery service vault is created now. So let's go to resources. So under recovery service vault, you have to select the site recovery. From the site recovery, as we are going to configure VMware machine to Azure, so we will prepare our infrastructure first. So this is the OVA file which you have to download from this portal and install it on your VMware environment. So just to save the time, I have already downloaded this file. So once the downloading is completed, you have to keep this registration key with you. So during the configuration, it will be required in order to establish the connectivity. So let me take you to my test environment. So this is the test environment which I have configured. It is configured with two physical servers. Actually, it is a nested environment. So these are basically a VM which I'm using as, which is pretending as a servers. So as I said, I have already downloaded this appliance. So one, this one. As the size you can see, it's almost 15 GB, 14.5, which we have to install here. So right click on the cluster and click on deploy OVF template. So this is the default path. Give it any name. Select the management cluster or physical server. If DR is DSR is enabled, so you can select the cluster. Otherwise, you have to specify the physical node. Just select the storage on- in provision. Otherwise, it will consume 700 GB. And from here, you have to select the adapter, whatever is enabled with the internet connection. And that's it. So once you finish, it will start the installation and it will take around 15 to 20 minutes. Again, just to save the time, I have already deployed this appliance, and appliance name is Recovery Appliance. It is running with Windows Server 2019. Make sure the VMware tool is upgraded, and this is the IP which I have assigned to this appliance. So let me log into this appliance. So once you log in into it, it will launch a web browser with application which we will use for configuration of our recovery service vault. So this is the application. This is my VM name, and this is the port number which it will use. So make sure the time should be properly configured on your virtual machine, otherwise it will give you an error. So once these setup prerequisite pass, just click on continue. So now it is fetching the component information. So this is the required information as it is up to date, because yesterday I have downloaded this file. If you have the older version, make sure you download it from the portal, the latest version. Otherwise, it will create multiple problems and you have to update your operating system again. So then click on continue. So application connectivity, I'm going to use the same one. Just save it and continue. Friendly appliance name, I prefer to use the same one which I have configured here. Recovery appliance. And okay, so that limitation is there. So now we need to apply the ASR replication key. So this is the key which I was talking about. You have to keep it handy. Just copy this key and paste it here. So if you look at the key, let me quickly go through the key. So it will give you the information about your subscription and the resource group which you have created. My resource group is FOCRG. The provider is Microsoft Recovery Service Vault, and this is the vault name, and this is my subscription, and this is my location. So this is what we are going to use for replication. So just copy it, and it will automatically sign into your account. Just paste this code here, which you just copy from the previous window, and the account which you are using to sign in on the portal. So I have enabled MFA. So type it on the mobile phone. So it's approved. Click on continue. So now login is completed. So if you come back here, as you can see, registration is started. For the time being, I'm going to pause this video because it will take a couple of minutes. So once it is done, I'll resume it back. Oh, it's completed now. So it is also giving me information, my login ID, my subscription, my resource group, and recovery service vault name. Click on continue. And here you have to provide the vCenter server information. Let me look what is my vCenter server IP. Dot 110. Yes is the name. And here we have to provide the credentials. The center credential. The credentials are fine. We successfully establish the connectivity with the vCenter. So credentials are added, it made it fine. So add the virtual machines credentials, which we are going to protect. So in our environment, we have Web 01 and Web 02. So far I am going to protect my virtual machine Web 01. This is the IP address of my web VM. So here I'm just going to provide credential friendly name, those credentials, and username will straighter password. Let's continue. So we don't have physical servers, or required, we can add it later on. So as you can see here, it can take up to 30 minutes to complete this installation component and registration with the Azure services. So I am have a look what's going on here. So far, nothing. So once it is registered, we can see some replication information here. So far, it is not yet ready. So let it prepare what is going on my on-prem. So I'm going to pause the video now. So once it is done, I'll resume it back. Stay tuned, keep watching. Welcome back. So the configuration is completed now. Let's jump in portal. Click on VMware to Azure. This is our recovery service vault, site recovery. So this is what we have created so far. So it's application now. But prior to start this application, there are some prerequisites as I have mentioned in my slide. You have to disable the secure boot of the VM which you are going to reprotect. You have to define your VNet for test and prod environment and the storage account as well. The network security group and public IP we can configure later on. So first of all, we need to check these things. Let's jump into our first task. As I'm going to protect this virtual machine where I'm running my web server. So have a look over web server first. So this is my website. It's polling keywords. So in order to verify the secure boot, just click on edit, VM options, and the boot option. Make sure the secure boot disabled. Checkbox should not be here. Just shut down your virtual machine, remove this checkbox, and power it on. So once it is done, the second one is we need to create DNet for test and prod. Let's create the net first. Click on virtual network, create new. This is the older one which I am using for another purpose. So VNet name is, let's say, prod, OC prod. Security is fine. The IP address, that's fine. Review. So let it wait while we will get another one for our test environment. Test. Make sure it should be under same resource group. And code is fine. IP address we will change here as it is our test environment. So let's say 216 vault one. We change it to test. Should be 5/24. All right, so this is for our test environment. The first one is completed. It's one is completed FOC prod and other one is. So let's look at our third requirement, which is storage account should be defined. This is also created. So we are going to use these two. As you can see, it is under same subscription. This one is different. So thing to do with this one, we have to deal with FOCRG. So that requirement is to create a storage account, create FOC storage should be unique globally, otherwise it will error. FOC storage account fine the redundant all settings all okay. I buy anything here. Just review and it create. So the third one is also completed. So let's prepare security group as well. It's up to you. You can create later on as well. So network big group as it is on a different resource group or by different project. So I'm going to create a new one. So the resource group will be FOC resource group, network security group, or web review and create. It. So resource group is also created. So let's create a public IP as well, although it is optional at the moment, but we will do it now. Public IP address. The public IP address for different project. So we have to look into our resource group, web public IP. Create. So we have almost completed the prerequisites. Let's on the Azure portal and start our the protection process. So go to VMware to Azure Recovery Service Vault, again site recovery and enable replication. So machine type is virtual machine. Center server is VCSA, the name which we have defined during the configuration of our appliance. And so far only one Web01 VM is powered on our on-prem environment. So that is the reason it is only reflecting here, this one. Second one is powered off. So this is Web02. So far we are only going to protect Web01. ASR appliance, okay, that's fine. Leave it default. And target is FOC resource group, then fine. Fail over Azure network, select FOC prod created and subnet is default. This is configure failover network. Target subnet, find test failover. We'll use the different one. Test failover subnet is test. With the storage account which we just created, FOC storage group standard. Replication is 24-hour replication policy. Want to have a consistent state, then you have to create a replication group. So far, I'm just going with the default one because we have only one VM. If you have multiple VM, enable replication. So again, it will take couple of minutes. So far, these are the things which are completed. Now our application is progress. So I'm going to pause the video. So once it is done, I'll resume. As it is going on, so what it will do is it will try to install mobility agent on our virtual machine. So let's look at our virtual machine, the current status. Okay, this is our VM currently running. Show you add remove program. So far nothing is there, but one mobility agent will be installed as we have enabled the application. So once the installation is completed, we'll check this agent installation again. All right, so our application is still under process. So far that is healthy and synchronization has just started. Refresh it. Typical drive capacity is 90 GB. Seems to be fine. So I'm going to pause the video again. So once it is done, I'll resume back. So meanwhile, replication status is the synchronization is under progress. So let's review its dashboard. Site recovery and failover health is healthy. Replicated health is so far healthy. And this is infrastructure view. This is the virtual machine which we are replicating from on-prem environment to Azure environment. So the replication is happening through ASR application appliance, which we have installed our on-prem server. And then we have established a connectivity between application server and Azure Site Recovery through the recovery service vault. And then we have create a storage account, which is being used to host this virtual machine, right? So look at the replicated item. Well, it is 0%. So again, it will take a couple of minutes, like 20 to 25 minutes. So for the timing, I am pausing this video. So once it is completed, I'll resume it. The replication is still 0%. So let's have a look on our virtual machine, which we are replicating here. So as you can see here, VM agent, right, recovery mobility agent has been installed on our virtual machine. So our website is also working here. Let's refresh it. Let's review performance. Still it is 0%. All right, so let's wait for a while. It's been 10 minutes now, but the still synchronization is 0%. So let's have a look what's going on at the back end. So if you look at on the source machine, it's our web 01. Utilization is quite high. Data protection is going on here. So if we look at our application appliance, CPU seems to be fine. But here, if you look at the Ethernet, it keeps sending its data, sending and receiving from the web 01 and sending it to Azure appliance. On the back end, something is happening. On the portal, I believe it will not go with 0, 1, 2, 3. It drastically it will change from 0 to let's say 10, 30, 50, something like this. So it reach up to 8%. Let's wait for a couple going to resume. Pause the video. 90% has still 91. Wait for a while again. Still 93%. So 83 GB has been transferred out of 90 GB. Still under total data transfer with the person pending the remaining data not total transferred. It is just completed now, waiting for first recovery point. So after that, we will perform test failover, then FP failover. Meanwhile, just look at infrastructure which we have deployed our on-prem. This is the IP address of our application appliance. And from here, you can see the status. This is the center server. Connect all options, organization, space, stuff. Till it is in progress, waiting for first recovery point. Let's see if it is reflecting anything on around 50 to 70 minutes to replicate this one virtual machine. Still, it is going on. Let's wait a couple of minutes more. All right. So now the status is protected. So we are only getting one warning because we did not perform the test failover. So far configuration issue, no issue found. Last successful test failover were performed successfully. That is the reason it is not here. So this is our preview for our on-prem and this is for on-cloud. So you can perform a test failover. Once it is successful, we will check our virtual machines functionality, whatever the applications or services are installed in that VM is working fine, then we will perform. So let's go for test failover first. So in test failover, our virtual machine will remain online or on-prem environment. Let's perform test failover now. Let's see how long it lasts. All right, so test failover is successfully complete. Let's have a look. As you can see now, earlier there was exclamation sign or warning sign. So now health is fine. Let's have a look on server. As you can see, they are protected. So let's clean up this one and then we will proceed for final failover. So status cleanup ending. See perform. Source server is 10113. Every appliance test and the target let's look at this is the private IP and in 10.4 because the public IP address is assign that virtual some rules as well. Assign search for associates created. The reason why I'm performing this task, I wanted to test the functionality first. If everything is working, then we will proceed for final fail. This one, IP is source and destination. Specify a particular one, 172.16.10.4 or to. Here I made a mistake. So public automatic. So this is the public IP address. Down, download. Subscribe. Password. Gaming. That's it. This is the public IP address. VM. See, all right. So this is a pure VM now. Web server is up. So this is the reason test failover. So the test failover is configured. Then we can check the functionality of our services which are running. So if the test is successfully completed, perform. fail. So let's start the click from here as well. Just right click here, click here. It's connected. Now, again, it will take a couple of minutes. Wait, and in the process finish, then we will perform an actual failover. All right, our test failover is also completed now. So now we will proceed for final failover. Replicated item. So everything is fine here. So now we can perform failover. What it will do is it will shut down the chain. Start. So again, I'm going to pause the video. So once it is completed, I'll resume it back. All right. So failover is completed now. So let's have a look at the virtual site. Be healthy. Observe so far. Action has been. So the web 01 is powered off. Public IPs. If you look at the private IP address string, the one which we have created network, create one for prod and one for test. This belongs to network connected web 01 which so machine. Let's associate the public IP with this one. Create network security group. Security group is already created. We just need to assign inbound rule. The one which public security group, the one which we did earlier, RDP. So IP. Have to inbound rule test HTTP traffic at the net. try to affect our tested our Web01 VM in test environment with this IP, and now prod VM. Yes, never. Could be there. It is still private. Really strange. I don't know. It's not shoot it. Just in Question is not yet configured. Should be. Let me troubleshoot this issue. It seems. And I didn't perform anything, getting it and refresh. I did not change anything. Exactly the same as I performed. Now I all right. So let's try our website. Let's see. I am accessing it through the public IP address and website is published. You can access it from outside the virtual machine. So this deployment is successful now. Our workload is migrated or protected on Azure Cloud. So this is how it will work. So now our next step is to reprotect the VM. Let's say wanted to scale back to on-prem. Let me make some here so that we can migrate it from Azure to. Let me text file action, or let me uh, text file and welcome to it. Refresh it. See, here is the running here. So now we are going to reprotect. S- Here you can see the VM is powered off now. Protect the web 01 versus this one, our appliance. So it's appliance protection is started now. The way the IP will know connected with name VM. So again, it will take a couple of minutes. So this is the actual reprotection engine started after discovering Station virtual machine. So I'm going to pause this video now. So once it is done, I'll resume. So the reprotection is still going on. And just to update you one thing, whenever you are going to reprotect your data from Azure to on-prem, there will be a charge. Nothing is free as you are using Azure network and the bandwidth network, whatever is involved. in the reprotection, you have to pay that amount. So there are some articles which I would recommend you to go those articles that you can estimate the price. So again, it will take around 20 to 25 minutes. Protection is going on. So what it will do is I believe it will shut down the virtual machine which is currently running state. All right, guys. So production is completed now. It took around 5 minutes. Let's have a look. Ah, let it complete. Them on cloud powered off. So synchronous. Drives. As well. Till it is. All right. So now this VM is protected. Let's get the status of VM. Still powered off. Snapshot created. So anti file is attached. Let's jump on. Okay, so here we have to form a planned fail. So the direction is from Azure to VMware. Starts along Just okay, so start failover is in progress. Sweet. I know it's a lengthy procedure and video is long, but I just wanted to show you one shot the reason. Yep, it complete. Then we will what is happening for on-prem. So I just wanted to keep both those in parallel so that we can see what exactly going on cloud and what is going on on-prem. So in that way we can keep eyes on both screens. Starting up, started protect is completed. Let's have a snapshot. So if you refer to this point which I was mentioning here, 2x VM storage should be available on for failback. What does it mean? We're going, it will consume the same amount of storage which is being inside the virtual machine. F0. So check one text file which is text. This is the same way. It's storage, storage. Same size created here in snapshot. Let's assume storage to the back from back from same 500 GB snapshot will be. Just keep in mind according just by the capacity of your store. If store at your snapshot service vault item, commit from that SPM The Azure side, you commit snapshot. Want to commit snapshot here. See, we still in success of success. So, let's look at stop. Commit is still going on. So let's observe some changes on our on storage, which we see earlier, Azure Cloud. So the commit has been completed now. So and fail. The active location is VM. So there are two options earlier that means have failed back your back to server. Git migration mean back whatever is code that that mean this VM select again cloud or commit action. The VM or repo action from commit infrastructure any. We don't need that machine which we just commit, but it will out and move it back and see protected. It will start replication from Azure. So I hope this guys stay tuned. Next video I'll try to collab directory, cloud, or primary active directory will elected ever. So kind of in stay tuned.